The world of Witcher is brutal, it's bleak, and it's full of monsters. And it's coming to our tabletop here with the Witcher Legacy from Go On Board. My name is Brian. I'm excited to dive into this game. Let's hit it. So back in 2021, Go On Board brought us The Witcher, The Old World. Now there are a lot of different types of correlations and overlaps between that game and this one. So I will be referencing it throughout this video, but I want to make sure that I explain this game well for those who haven't had any experience with that game as well. I also should caveat that this is a legacy game and I've only played it one time with the one scenario that is available. So I'm going to be giving you my thoughts on the mechanics of the game, as well as my overall thoughts of the scope of the legacy and the things that I would like to see from it, and what I know that I could tell you guys. That way you can make the best decision if this game is for you. Now, with that said, this is a sponsored first impression, so take that into account. And also, Go On Board personally flew from Poland to show me this game. I'm so grateful that they were able to come into the house, come here into the Game Brigade studio, and show me this game so that I can bring it to you, my audience. So with that, let's talk about the legacy here, The Witcher, the legacy game. And because there's a lot of stuff going on, there's a lot of spoilers, I would highly recommend, if you want zero spoilers and you don't really care how the gameplay works, you just want to know about my thoughts regarding the mechanics and overall my deeper impressions, I would go to part 2 of this video, which will be in the timestamps down below. It'll be about halfway through the video. I would check that. Otherwise, we're going to be talking about this current board, which is after my play. So there are going to be some scenarios or some spoilers available for you to see. It shouldn't impact your overall experience with this game, as Go On Board has already said that this is public information. They're going to be using this scenario for their marketing. So just know that this has already been made aware that they're going to be spoiling some of the stuff. But I'm not going to be going into the actual storyline. I'm not going to be telling you what happened or what we experienced. I'm just going to show the things on the board so you understand how the mechanics work. So at its core, the gameplay mechanics for The Witcher Legacy are very similar to the old world game, which is that it is a deck building game where you're going to be utilizing cards in your hand with some hand management, as there are ways for you to have your cards discarded from either enemies or just by playing the actions in the game. Eventually, you're going to be encountering different types of enemies where you'll utilize your deck building skills, as well as the different types of tags, which is very similar to most of the Go On Board games that I've played lately. They love their tag system when it comes to their card play. When we look at the board here, you can see we have the town of Dubica set up. There are different types of locations that you can go to. And for my player, there only is one location that is completely untouched. So we'll use that as a reference for a lot of the examples when I'm talking about things to look for. So with that, let's dive right into the woods. This is a good example of what a basic location would look like that is untouched. Over here, you have the number, which will signify what location number this is. So if you need to reference it in the legacy book, this is what it would be. It would say location 4. You have the title here. Below that is the basic action. When you send your Witcher to this location, this is the generic basic action that you can always take. In this case, it is to increase your morale from low morale to high morale if you need to, as well as increase your defense by 1. From there, you have several different types of actions you can take. One of them is an explore. One of them is the conversation one here. Another one could be a quest location if there was a specific type of quest token. For example, if this quest token was here, you could trigger that quest token, but that's not there in this basic example. If you were to do an explore, you will take this sticker down here that has the eye, peel it off, and reveal what is below it. That will uncover either storyline for you to take a look at, for example, here in the Ural's Hut or in the Old Mill Ruins, which is a gold coin. Things that can trigger. These will also trigger some of the additional main storyline events that could occur. To the right is a storyline base event, but you'll notice there's this sticker above it with a lock symbol. The lock symbol basically means that you have to unlock this section by doing something else in the game to unlock this chapter to be available. For example, if we look over here at number 2, the Old Ruined Mills, we can see that we've uncovered this location, but because there's still a sticker below this with the book, we actually haven't done that location. No one actually went to the Old Ruined Mill, the old ruins, and did this action to uncover that sticker to see what it is. So let's talk about how the actual gameplay works, starting with the most basic, which is movement. You're going to start your game with 2 cards in hand from your starting deck. Just like any other deck builder, you're going to have 10 basic cards that are based off of the character that you picked. Now, the Witchers are all unique in the sense that they all have a unique ability, and they have some different card variety in terms of what is in their basic deck, but there's not too much differences in terms of the overall power level, at least from what I see. They all are capable of doing well in terms of their complexity. So from there, you have the ability to move. So you might be on the board somewhere and you need to go somewhere. You're going to play a card from your hand. So let's take a look at what these cards do and how that works. Looking at the anatomy of the card, you can see that there is a color system with it. We have green, red, yellow, blue, and purple. At the top left is the generic ability that this card might provide when in combat, as well as any linking tags they may have, such as this blue one here. And at the bottom of the card are these power symbols. The power symbols at the stage of movement is what we're most interested in. By discarding this card, the amount of power symbols are the movement you could move up to. So if I discard this green card, I can move up to 2 locations. If I discard this yellow card, I can move up to 1 location. So in this case, we're actually going to discard the green card. And I'm going to move my blue guy all the way down here to the Druid's Grove. From there, I am able to take an action. These actions are very simple, just like any other worker placement location. You can discard either a gold or an herb to raise my stats in the green tier by 1. And then from there, I could take any of the additional actions, if there were any available, from the gameplay. So that is the basic way a turn might go. We're going to talk more about the combat here and how specifically these cards work here in a moment. But we should understand kind of how you would get to combat. Each of the missions is going to have a overarching scenario goal that you're going to be dealing with. You can see the scenario guard for Dubica is located up here, where we're dealing with some neckers that are invading or having problems with this specific village. With that, there are some side quests that we've been asked to complete, talking to Dubica dwellers or finding the necker mounds in the forest. These are things you're going to actively search for by looking for these specific symbols, either through dialogue options, reward options, or specifically on the map. For example, a necker mound is signified by this claw, which you can see right here. One of the interesting ways that this game works is it has this travel journal. There is a stack of stickers that you will have, and as you complete different types of objectives in the game, you're actually going to attach stickers, and it kind of creates a journal for you to reference, a codex or a journal for you to reference to remember how things are going and to kind of give you quick highlights of your current story as it is. And they will also have sometimes these tags on there for you to keep track of for you, so you don't have to memorize them or keep track of them mentally. They're all located in your journal. When you've completed those objectives based on your player count, you'll reveal and read the specific section. So that arrow is pointing to example 1.7, or if you find the Necker Nest, to 1.22. And just like any other legacy game, you will complete those locations. So let's talk about how the combat works and how the player board works in terms of making yourself more powerful. So combat, just like in other Go On board games, they love their tag system. You are going to be upgrading your deck eventually at the end of each round. You'll be drawing 2 cards and choosing a card from the available pool to add to your deck. So we'll just do one randomly here. And you can actually look at your hand that you drew, the 2 cards you drew prior to, so you have a rough idea. And in this case, I'm going to take this blue card. I think that'll be very good based on the hand that I have right now. So we're going to discard these cards because they're no longer available. So let's go into combat. So let's say we're fighting Neckers. We're now in round 2. The way that works, we'll bring this card over here for easy reference. The Neckers have 8 total health. but that isn't their health always. Based on the amount of rounds that you're in, so in this case we have 5 total rounds available for this scenario, but we're in round 2, you'll be adding 2 cards, so 1 for each round, to the pool. So 2 for the rounds, 2, 4, 6, 8 for their health. And the way the game works is the Necker health is based on the pool of cards that we have right here, and your health is based on the amount of cards that you have here as well. And whoever runs out of cards first will be the losers. So let's say I go first because I have high morale and I engaged these monsters. We're going to be playing cards from our hand, and I'm going to do this with completely blind, not knowing what's going to happen. So let's look at my hand, for example, and see what we can do. When you're going into combat, really all you care about at this point are the top tags. So we want to see, are there anything that we can play to trigger additional combos? So we have, unfortunately, 2 good options, but they're both hinging on this green card. We could play this card to deal 2 damage, or this card to deal technically 3 damage. I think we'll do that. We're going to play the blue card, pairing it with a green card. So what does that mean? You have the blue card with this symbol. That means deal 1 damage. It has a tag additional next to it, meaning if you play another card, which is green, in this chain, you'll unlock those additional options. So I'll play that. If this green card had additional tags, I could go from there and continue my chain. Unfortunately, it does not. So we'll just go and end it there by dealing 3 damage, adding a shield to my defense pool, and it'll be adding an additional card to our draw. We'll talk about that more when we're talking about the player board, but right now my standard draw is 2, so I'll draw 3 cards back into my hand, and I'll hold on to this yellow one for future turns. It is good to note that my hand size at this moment is 6, but the default hand size is 4. We'll talk about that in a second. So I dealt 3 total damage. So we'll take the Necker deck here. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, and we've dealt that damage, and now it's the Necker's turn. So what they're going to do is they're going to draw a card and reveal it, and this is going to be telling us what the AI plans to do when we flip this token. So we flip that token, revealing this icon here. So they'll be doing 3 damage to us. First, when you're receiving damage, we're going to reference our player board. If we have available armor, we'll remove that first. So we do. We have 1, 2, 3. If we did not have any available armor, or we took damage exceeding our available armor, you will discard cards from your draw pile into your discard, effectively taking that damage. So now it's back to our turn. We have some more cards. I can see if there's anything that maybe I want to do, anything exciting. There's only one that I think is pretty good. We're going to play this one that we've already had. We've got another green card. This one says you can pick up the top card from your discard back to your hand, so it's effectively healing me. Deal 2 damage, deal 2 more damage, 1, 2, and then getting another armor. It goes back to and then these cards go to the discard. It goes back to the Necker's round. They're going to do the same thing. We'll flip this token. It's doing 3 damage, 1, 2, and 3. Oh, and I forgot to draw 2 more cards based at the end of my turn, so deal a damage. Now it's back to us. Now we know the Neckers only have 3 more damage. We've got a good amount of cards in our hand, so let's go ahead and see. So what we can do here is I can play this blue one for 1 damage and picking up a card from our discard. I'm going to play a yellow card to add 2 more cards to my hand, dealing a damage if I play a purple card, which I have. So I'll play a purple, which will give us an additional shield. So we're going to deal 2 more damage. 1, 2, picking up this blue card in my hand, adding 4 cards to my draw. But let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. My hand limit is 6, so I don't draw that extra card. And it goes back to the Neckers. This will be their last attack. And because I still have health and they're not going to kill me, I will win this combat. So that is how that'll go. And then you will reference whatever thing is that you're doing to figure out what happens after you win that specific combat. It could be additional story. It could be an additional combat. Who knows? Whenever combat starts, you will pick your whole deck up other than what's in your hand and shuffle it up. So you'll always come into combat with full health. So from there, let's finish up and talk real quick about the player board and kind of how you can customize your character to fit your player style. Here in the middle of the board, we have 4 different tiers. We have support, analysis, strength, and charisma. Each of these follow different types of stats that you can benefit your character. Support is the support level. So right now I'm at level 1. So at the end of each combat, I will gain 1 shield based on my 1 support. But if I were to raise this up to level 3, at the end of combat, I would raise my armor back up to level 3, giving me additional combat. So that gives a way to effectively give yourself a more defensive stance coming into combat. Analysis is what allows me to draw cards. The base level allows me to draw 2 cards at the end of each round and have 4 cards in my hand. When I talk about that, it's specifically talking about combat. I'm not talking about the end of the round up here. But as we go up higher, you can get to 2 cards drawn, 6 cards in your hand, 3 cards drawn, 6 cards, 3 cards, 8 cards, up to 4 cards drawn, 8 cards in your hand. So you're able to get way better available options by having your analysis higher, allowing you to have better combos and tricks with that. The strength does not necessarily mean you're going to be having more damage with your attacks, but what it means is it allows your body to hold more mutagens, which are very common in the Witcher world. Mutagens are changes to your body. These are mutations that you're taking to enhance yourself. And the higher the strength level you have, so at level 1, you're allowed to have no mutagens. Level 2, you can have 1. Level 3, you can have 2, etc. And these are permanent passive buffs that you can trigger whenever you're in combat. So I'll give you an example of one with this blue mutagen, and they're all different so far. Blue mutagen, if the second card in your combo has exactly 3 power symbols, deal an extra damage. That one's a hard one to combat. You would have to draft accordingly to be able to make sure you have a card that has 3 damage symbols, and that's specifically referencing the power symbols in the bottom corner. This red mutagen says if your combo has at least 2 cards and the last one is red, raise your defense by 1 and apply a +1 draw modifier. So these are ways for you to additionally enhance your combat prowess. The final one is your charisma. The charisma specifically deals with the Witcher buff or the Witcher asymmetrical power that you have. Each of the Witchers has a different power, and the higher your charisma is, the better you are with your combat ability here, which you're able to trigger by flipping over this medallion in combat once per combat and taking advantage of the ability. Now, these are not just referenced with that though. All 4 of these also reference different types of security or personality checks that you might go into. For example, down here we have Talk to the Elders. It's a check, which means we're going to have a charisma check. How do the checks work? Well, when you do a check, you're going to roll your dice, and what you're looking for is the best poker hand. So in this case, we have 2 4s, a 5, 6, and a 1. It's not a great hand. We might try for a run. So let's see here. We'll re-roll this. We have 3 total re-rolls. We got a 6 and a 2. So in this case, let's try re-rolling here and hope we get a 5. We didn't. Now, we have 1 more re-roll in this case because we have 3 re-rolls. And then if we had additional buffs, 3, it's pretty bad. If we had the 2, would have been great. So in this case, we would have gotten a failure. But if we got, say, if this was a 5 or something, if we got like a full house, it's just poker symbols. You can actually reference this down here. It shows you the difference between a remarkable success, a success, and a failure. And then you will reference the book here to see what happens based on the result that you got. Now, there are different things that you can do to change. For example, we have this Woven Hour potion. We can change a herb to change a dice face plus or minus 1 face. So you can use those kind of abilities to mitigate these dice. And as you go through the game, you'll have access to more of these potions that can affect any aspect of the game. So that is the basic rough of it in terms of the mechanics of how to play Witcher Legacy. You've got cards to add to your pool, combat cards from the AI. You've got bombs that we didn't talk about that you can draw that you can discard to deal whatever their damage may be. You've got mutagens to enhance your body, abilities to buff, cards to play, cards to deck build. That is Legacy the Witcher Legacy in a nutshell. But let's talk about now my thoughts about the overall experience and how this plays as a Witcher game and a Legacy game. Welcome to part 2 of my Witcher Legacy video. If you are here because you skipped the timestamps, welcome. If you're here because you followed through the entire mechanical section, also welcome. So we're going to be talking about some of the things that I want to dive into. The first one will be narrative and thematic immersion. Does the universe feel Witcher? Which I would say it does. I've played Witcher 3 a lot. In fact, I beat it plus all of its expansions. My wife has played Witcher 2 all the way through. She's also read several of the books, and we've seen the shows. So I feel like I've got a pretty good rough idea of how the Witcher universe operates. It is dark, it's bleak, full of monsters, as I mentioned in the intro. And this game so far has done that, giving you the visceral feel in the writing and the direction of the way they want it to go, showing you that the world doesn't like you because you're a Witcher, you're weird, you mutated, you got cat eyes, but they need you because you're one of the only type of people that are specialized in dealing with the type of monsters that are out there. But there's always a deeper thing going on in Witcher. It's not just cut and dry. You're not a bounty hunter to just go kill monsters, although that's the idea of a Witcher. There's always more going on. There's more intrigue. There's more things that you have to discover. There are things behind the scenes. Now, while you're playing this, you could go straight line. I'm just going to figure out if I can kill the monsters and complete my contract. And you might be able to ignore some of the things, but almost always you're going to have to deal with a different side thing that might be happening. The question that I wanted to make sure I asked, and it's unable to be answered in this video because I haven't played enough, are the meaningful decisions from the legacy aspect. Are the decisions that I make in scenario 1, 2, 3, etc., are they going to cascade and create different changes in the universe for the overall gameplay of my game? Are there going to be meaningful choices that I'm going to have to make? Am I going to have moral ambiguity decisions that I'm going to have to make? Saving the children from here or rescuing the orphans in the fire over there? Which one do you choose? I would like to know. Of course, that's an awful example, but it's kind of a Witcher-like example where not always the choice you're going to make is the best one, and you're just going to have to make a gut decision at that moment of what you want to do. And does that impact the story? I don't know, but I could see where they're going with it so far with the storyline driven as it is now, and I'm excited to see more of that. Knowing CD Projekt Red and knowing Go On Board with the last one with the Witcher Old World, I'm excited to see more about the iconic monsters. I want to know how they're going to implement all the different types of beasts. I want to see how they're going to implement those types of creatures and those monsters into this game, and I sure hope they have a way to do that. Another question is, are we going to have any type of miniatures or representations of those monsters? It might be a good way to utilize more of the old world box because you have all those miniatures within that game. And for the most part, in this case, all of our monsters were represented by these cards, which isn't necessarily a good or bad thing. It's actually, in my opinion, makes the box a lot more manageable, not having miniatures everywhere. But I'm curious how you're going to represent the different types of beasts and if there's going to be a way to show those. Overall, as it stands, the thematic nature that the game uses, the way with the writing of the Witcher Legacy, I am very impressed, and I do feel like they're doing a good job of bringing the Witcher world to life. Now, this is Go On Board. We've already seen their writing from the old world, the Witcher Old World, and to my opinion, the best part of that game were these small player card size versions that had storyline that you would have to read, that gave you those moral ambiguity options, and those were just in snippet bits. But now we're given whole legacy books with a bunch of different writing and options and choices that you're going to have to make. So I already have confidence that Go On Board can nail this portion of the game. The one thing I am curious about, and I'm hopeful that they'll answer this in the campaign, and I would encourage you to look this up as you're looking at this game, are the scenario designs, and if they talk about uniqueness. Are there going to be different types of scenarios, and how are those scenarios going to be unique or memorable each individual way? If it's just the same type of scenario for 15 scenarios, that can get dry. But if we're able to see different types of scenarios, different types of landscapes, different types of maybe building upon itself, that's where I get really excited. Now, of course, I don't know where this will go in that nature. I've only played the first scenario, but I'm excited to see where this potentially could go, and that will be based on their answers in the campaign and then their FAQ and the updates. What will drive me to be even higher and more excited for a game like this is how they unpack or answer the scenario option of how these scenarios are going to be unique for a player experience going through the story. Now, complexity is super important. I would like to talk about that. I just basically explained this whole rule book for how to play this game relatively quickly. There's little things like learning the iconography, but they're pretty simple as it is. But the complexity of this game is relatively low, and I'd probably place this around a 2.0 to a 2.25 complexity scale. The most complex aspects of the game are trying to utilize and take advantage of the combo system in the deck building portion, utilizing the different types of mutagens that you have options to. But overall, the complexity scale is relatively low. And I think if you're a fan of Witcher in general, if you're not a board gamer, if this isn't your overall first hobby, this is something that is completely approachable by most people, even those who are outside of the board gaming general sphere. I think this has a wide range of audience members that could find this game very palatable and easy to play. Final thing I want to talk about before we go into the should you back it option are the in first impressions overall for myself of the legacy elements. Legacy is always a hard thing for a lot of gamers. I think some gamers are legacy fans. Like, the legacy is the only way to play board games. It's the best way to truly get a unique experience, and I do think there's a lot of truth to that. Other people feel like legacy can tarnish a game and they hate destroying things or modifying the thing. I think both camps are completely valid. I am leaning on both sides here, but from what I see with the legacy elements here, I do know that there will be a complete replayability version at the end of this game, but I have no concept of what that means in terms of what it'll look like once you finish the campaign and the endless replayability option opens up. But in terms of the legacy components, in terms of destroying cards, sticker placements, upgrading your tokens, they're relatively pretty good, although kind of basic. So, for example, I grabbed one of the upgrade stickers that we received for completing Scenario 1, and these give you a few different options. One of them is to change one of your basic cards to adding a different power level to it, which could work with your mutagens. For example, the one I read that allowed you to need to have 3 power on a card. You can get additional tags, for example, here. So by completing, and based on your success, you might be able to get more of these going overall. And some of these might also change the card to make it permanently to your deck, which is these cards down here. So if I had one of these types of basic cards and I took this blue tag and put it on here, now I'm indicating that that card is part of the blue player's deck for the remainder of the game. So there are ways that you can kind of modify and change the gameplay elements to enhance the overall experience. My biggest complaint from the Witcher Old World, and I told this to them because, like I said, go on board, they were here in my studio sitting down with me, and I told them one of the biggest things that I had issues with the Witcher Old World, the original game, is that it has its core is also a deck building game, and the game felt like once you got your deck humming and tuning into a machine, which is what you want in a deck builder, the game ended. And it just was like you spent a lot of time building your deck up, doing a lot of the things, and as soon as you got it going, it was over. And I was like, well, I want to make sure that when we're playing this game, that you're having a way to actually kind of accelerate through that deck building process so you get to the best parts of the game, which is playing combos, utilizing your powers and abilities, and realizing the different types of combinations you can get. And the ability to upgrade your cards and to modify them and add them to your deck and to kind of go from there with your deck drafting really makes it more kind of robust and exciting for me. So I'm excited for that aspect. So as we wrap up here, we're going to talk about should you be excited and what do I want to see more of as we wrap this up. So should you be excited? If you are a Witcher fan, I think you should be excited because I think this game is going to allow you to finally truly experience the Witcher world in storyline driven narrative at the tabletop scene. We've got the ability to play the open world aspect with the Witcher Old World, which allows you to have a little bit minor storyline, allows you to do a little bit of witch monster hunting, but with a massive open world. This one says, let's actually teleport you into the Witcher universe and allow you to live the life of Witchers, and you make the decisions as you're playing it with your friends. Now, yes, you could play video games and do all those things, but you can't play those games with your friends. This allows you to have those decisions, make those moral ambiguity decisions with your friends, making people make decisions that they don't necessarily feel comfortable with, but what needs to be done in the moment. I love that aspect, and what I think will make this game most exciting for those who are Witcher fans. For those who are Legacy lovers, I'm curious to hear what your thoughts are based after you've seen the overall campaign, because I am leaning on you guys. I am a Legacy player, but I'm not a Legacy player. You know, I haven't even played some of the most known Legacy games like Pandemic Season 0 or 2 or 1, any of those Legacy games. So I am leaning on you guys for helping me understand if what you see in the campaign really elevates this game to a top tier Legacy game. Is there anything that you think they need to add or change? I would love to know your thoughts. And finally, what are the things that I would love to see based on my first impression? What are some of the aspects that I want to see more of? What makes me super excited? One of those is more deeper branching storyline decisions and variable rewards based on what we decided. For example, in this scenario, there were a few different clear decision paths we could have taken in terms of accusations or following or attacking certain types of people or things. And I want to see a deeper push into this was the good ending or a neutral ending or a bad ending, and maybe the rewards could be thematically driven in that case, allowing you to kind of customize and make the characters more unique in that regard. The last thing I would really like to see is more unique customizations in the deck building options. Right now, the game is very streamlined and smooth, and I think there's a value to that. But I would love to be able to see additional customizations to truly make the deck building portion shine, as it is the key function. It is the primary gameplay loop that you're going to be providing throughout the game. Other than just the storyline aspects, the gameplay loop will be drawing cards, adding them to your deck, and then playing them in the combat section. I want to make sure that section, that portion of the gameplay is excellent. So that is my overall impressions of the Witcher Legacy game. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys, if you have any questions or anything, let me know in the comment section down below. I can personally reach out to Go On Board and ask them any of your questions that seem like that need answers. So let me know in the comments. I would love to hear them. My name is Brian. If you like this video, if you find value in it, please consider subscribing, and I will talk to you very soon.